Why are my nails changing color? Discoloration in nail products, why does it happen? We're going to talk about this right now on the Biz Talk. Tracy, today I had a moment where I was discoloring, turning red because I was angry and upset.
He was angry with me.
Was I angry with you? Actually, I don't remember. Was I?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I was for a split second. That's right.
He was angry and annoyed with me.
Don't add stuff in. I wasn't angry and
I could read him like a book.
Oh my God. I was a little upset, because something happened, and then I was like, wait, why are we doing that? And yes, I wasn't even referring to that, actually. I was trying to be funny, and then it got serious because I actually did get mad at her. But it's all good. I think we got it resolved. Did we?
Sure. If I would remember what you were mad about.
About warehouse.
UPS.
Yeah, UPS, all that, exactly. Anyway, I wasn't annoyed. I was just a little
he got this little.
Yeah, I get like that. I'm like, whoa.
Is he standing up? Is he leaving? Is he constipated? I'm not sure what's going on.
Probably the latter. I'm getting old, man. I think my body's changing. Things are getting weird.
There is one thing, unfortunately, when it comes to you and me, he can read me like a book. He knows when I'm annoyed. He knows no matter how much I think I'm hiding it. And
there's no way.
I think I'm pretty good at it with you.
It's 100% the same. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're pretty, we're just honest with how we are. And 90% of the conversation is absurd jokes and absolute madness, so that all of a sudden when it just goes to I'm just quiet, I'm just quietly work. There's no quietly working here.
There isn't. There's always some form of noise.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So
we literally sit in the same room together.
Yeah, exactly.
Across from each other.
We don't have offices, by the way.
No.
Which I think about that. It's weird.
Yeah.
You, Greg, and myself do not have offices at this. We just work wherever we're going to work.
Everybody else does.
Everybody else should. They need that space.
They do.
But we don't need it. Yeah. Funny. Interesting. Okay. So, nail products. Discoloration of nail products, not really nail products, nails. So somebody has a set of nails, gets a set of nails done, does a set of nails on a client, they discolor. It's funny because I'm on the community so much now, as both of us are, but this is one that I have seen come up.
Yeah.
People asking, my nails, I did this, what's going on? Why are they changing color? It's only been 2 weeks, blah, 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 whatever. But what are some of the things that can cause discoloration of nails?
Well, the first thing comes to mind is one of the big problems I had before I switched products is I used a product that peached out. It just wasn't color consistent.
So are there specific, was it clear? Was it the whites? Was specifically?
Let's just say pink, for instance.
Okay.
So the pink would eventually, within 3 months, turn to this, I called it a dead nail color. It was a peached out, not pink. So if you did a repair right next to it, it was whoa, that's pretty. And then you're like, what's wrong with the other ones?
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So it can be product. If you're not using a monomer that has UV protection, could also be a problem.
UV inhibitors.
Yeah,
right.
That can be a problem. A huge thing that I hear a lot is, and lately, and I've given this out, in fact, we probably should do a video on it.
Yeah.
Is my nails all of a sudden are turning yellow, and they automatically turn to the product, which I'm not saying it can't be the product, but I used to experience this. And I would get, so when you have your brush, it has the ferrule, the metal part.
Right.
So sometimes how people lay it and clean it, they have liquid still in it, and then they flip it upside down, right?
Okay. You store it
Yeah. And then the liquid falls into that ferrule.
Okay.
And it rusts out. It turns this yellow. It can, and so when they go to pick up like clear and they press it down, it's yellow. And they're like, what's wrong with the product? It's not the product. Your brush is actually contaminated and passing it on to the product. Usually they won't really notice it until they're working with clear.
When you're using it with clear, that's actually rust.
I don't know if it's really rust. It's just contaminated and it's yellow. And I call it rust. But it just gets...
So how do you get around that?
It's nasty. You need to clean your brush out better. Because I
so
throw
there's
my brushes like that all the time, but I used to do it. So I didn't use like our table towels.
Okay.
I wasn't using something to actually clean the brush out.
Okay.
I was using like paper towels, and it just doesn't pull the liquid and the acrylic and the gunk
Everything, yeah, gunk.
out. And so it just, when I would flip it upside down, when I stored it, it would just drain back down.
Okay, so at the end of every service, or even like, I mean, I always see you guys like, but when you're done with the brush for that moment, let's say you're going to go into filing, you're going to wait for the acrylic to dry. You always like,
Wipe it and roll it.
Wipe it, roll it, and then you
away.
store it. Mm-hmm. So you're saying if you don't do that, that's what can cause
and
the yellowies.
And sometimes it's just cheap brushes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
that will do it more than others. But yeah, and I used to struggle with that, and so it's hard to explain that to someone through a text message or something like that.
Of course.
So what I usually just say is, could you just try a new brush and see if that fixes it?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, it did.
Okay. So what about on the client side, Trace? Like, what are things that clients can do? So we've got, okay, it could be nail products. It could be that you're not cleaning your brush properly and the monomer gets into the ferrule, and then eventually whatever gunk is in there, it could pull that out, and now your nails look yellow.
Yep.
What about on the client side?
Client side, it could be lifestyle. So they're in chemicals a lot. It could be sun exposure, suntan boosts. And usually, typically, that's going to happen to, like, that's going to discolor colors that are neon. Sometimes the neons can kind of...
Okay.
Now, personally, we use all approved
Yeah, of course.
FDA
Right.
pigments, and they can, if they have a lot of sun exposure,
It can fade.
a little. Usually it's completely towards the end, so that's a possibility. I've seen it with chemicals.
Yeah. Like what kind of chemicals can...
Like cleaning solutions and
Oh,
stuff
I
like that.
see.
I've seen it. But again, all that is kind of rare, but these are things that you kind of fall down the rabbit hole with people. Smoking.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's going to turn them yellow.
Yeah.
And brown, right?
Yeah. Just do nail art on those people.
Yeah.
And then just, hairdressers, people like that, this is why we came out with stain resistant.
Yeah.
So
right.
that kind of solved that problem, but it's hard for people that are using gel polish on natural nails. And they don't have that option, so whites, a lot of times people will notice a discoloration in white.
Right.
And then there's also the possibility when you're doing white, when you cure an LED, and I don't know why, but sometimes when it comes out of the LED, it has a yellow tone. And it doesn't really do it in UV. I think it's because of the rapid cure of a LED light.
Oh, I see.
But it tends to go way within 5 minutes. And sometimes
Okay.
people wonder that. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it because I'm a nail tech at heart.
Well,
but what I can tell you is it bleaches out.
Yeah, we've had conversations with our chemists who have told us like certain, like a top coat, for example, that you put on, when you cure it fast, it could have that, but it eventually...
It dissipates.
It does dissipate.
Yeah.
Like, after a day
Yeah.
or so. But even then it's like, it can be so slight, but it can happen.
Yeah. And for me, I typically notice it gone before
Right.
really everything's over.
I guess, strategically, you can, if there's like one client that all of a sudden is showing this like discoloration, and you're using the same products on everybody, aren't you going to like know, okay, there's something the client is doing because I'm using the same pink, or like, these 5 clients, I'm using the same colors. You should be able to kind of figure it out, right?
You should, but what happens is people panic, and so we get, and that's the first question I ask is how many people are you having this issue with?
Right.
And then we can go down the rabbit hole too. Like if it is multiple, okay, let's talk your light. you might not be getting enough cure on your product, which is going to cause problems. Are you removing, if it's the acrylic and they're like, well, it's getting that dead peach color.
Yeah.
Are you removing lifting? Or are you gluing lifting? Because once the product, it gets a totally different color.
When it lifts.
Yeah, it does. It gets a dead nail color. It's funky, but it doesn't have that. It's not attached to that pink nail anymore,
right.
And you can see it. But then if people start gluing it, it just kind of gets a dirty. It does get a different look to it.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Did you have in your clientele? When you had a full clientele, did you have those experiences with like a client or two, or like, did you ever like have this moment where it was like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? These 6 clients, all of a sudden they're yellowing, and like, was there any of that happened?
Typically it was strictly one person.
One-offs.
I would notice like my gel top coat would start getting stained more or yellowing more. And it was because the light was not strong enough. The bulbs needed to be changed back then when it was UV.
Yeah.
So usually I could, if it was multiple people, it would be something like that. And I could pinpoint it back to like, okay, let's change out the bulbs and see what's going. Cause I've used this color forever and I've never had this problem. Is it surface?
Right.
Is it inside?
Is it inside?
Yeah, is the big one.
That's kind of what I was going to ask you next is when we talk about discoloration, what are we typically what kind of nails are we typically talking about? Is it like your nudes, your pink and whites, your like what? And there's not a lot of pink and whites right now, but I mean, it could be ombre, pink and white ombre. Like, what are we talking about?
It's typically your clear, your nudes. And the reason is you notice it.
Right.
When
if you have nail art.
You have nail art, you have darker color, you're not going to notice the stain.
Right. If that
it's
happens.
usually topical.
Okay.
It's usually the top coat.
Okay, that is going in that direction.
Yeah.
But in some cases, like you were mentioning earlier, if you have, some pinks, like maybe they're, I don't know, whatever the quality is, who knows, but they can peach out the actual nail itself, right?
The product, yeah. It's just, again, the purple tone to a monomers is very important.
Yeah.
And, if it doesn't have that or the products, there's all kinds of different ranges of quality out there. I had the huge problem. And I know that's a lot of times why a lot of nail techs will say you need to change your nails, do a full set every 3 months. Right. Not only the new infusion of the new set money, but they're just trying to get your nails to look pink again.
Odorless products. What's the deal with that? And do you see discoloration? Can that happen with odorless?
I have used odorless in the past because I worked in a salon that I love acrylic, so I went to an odorless. I definitely did see it.
Yeah,
it's a different curing process. It's it's a little more temperamental.
Yeah,
I would say
like rubbery.
It is rubbery.
Slow and slow. Very slow to cure, and it's got a more bend to it. It's hard to explain, and I hate filing on it. Why do you like? Is it because it takes so long to actually properly dry? By the time you get to filing, does it like get? Even when it's properly dry, it's a gummy consistency. Whoa! It's not hard like you expect acrylic to be. Does it last? I mean, if it never really cures all the way through, I mean, I would imagine there's some problems there. I did okay with it, but it's not my go-to for sure. Like a regular acrylic, I definitely think is better quality. Do you see just overall, like, do you see a difference like with dip, acrylic, gel polish? Is there any one in your experience that you've seen that like maybe is going to discolor more than others, or not really? These all should stay pretty consistent. I think there's gel polish. A lot of times gel polish can change colors. Sure. And typically it's kind of funny because I get the emails from distributors or whatever, and this customer's freaking out because her client gel polish turned this color, and they send me this picture, and I'm like, it looks like it's been 5 months since she had her nails done. Oh, it's like fully grown out? Seriously, I'm not joking. How long? They're like, well, she said it turned that way right away. A client would have hit you up by Yeah.
And it's like literally, I'm not at least 3 months growth. And like after, and if you're in full sun or been on vacation, like the sun's it can bleach out gel polish.
For sure. We know that UV can affect color, especially the sun. I mean, a lot of gel polish now is cured by LED, but still, like you go out in the sun, and if it's been over 3 months and you haven't changed it, like everything's gonna change.
Anything can change color.
Nail polish can change color if you're out in the sun. Gel polish, like if it's been that long, you know what I mean? Like plus like 3-4 months, color can be impacted.
It's like going to your hairdresser and saying my roots are darker than my hair. Like, well, it's been 6 months, so of course it is.
And what's the difference between like acrylic powder, because we were talking about how like certain pinks will peach out after 3 months, that versus gel polish for 3 months? Like, I mean, there's a difference between the two.
I feel like I feel acrylic holds up way better. It's just the gel polish, because typically it's it's certain colors that do
totally.
it. So you get a dark hot pink, it's gonna fade after 5 months or 3 months to a lighter pink. It just is. Whereas acrylic, it just seems to last, seems to keep, if you have a good acrylic.
So we do like stability tests, and we have seen gel polish, like there are certain situations, over X amount of time where they can be less stable than like acrylic is pretty our acrylic. I can't speak for all acrylic, but I know our acrylic is pretty damn stable when it comes to the color.
We do a lot of research when it comes to gel polish, because our chemist, they have their own tests that they do and say it's stable. And then when we receive it, we literally paint it out, and I climb up onto the roof here and I stick it out in the sun for a week to 2 weeks.
That's right.
And I mean, that's full sun all day long for 2 weeks. And there are some that we've received that have changed within 2 days.
Like completely changed.
Changed. No go. We can't do it. So we try to get that, on top of it. So when someone does send us a picture of one, I mean, that, then I'm like, something's up, because we do so much testing.
Hardcore testing. Yeah, absolutely. Let us know in the comments below if you've had any experiences specific to discoloration. Maybe we can jump in there and help and tackle, and other techs can jump in there as well to answer your questions. Tracey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Biz Talk.